Hello. Good evening. Hello.
Hi.
How's your week been?
It's been good. I did a broadcast this morning for BBC Hereford and Worcester on resilience, which is very much a part of what we need right now. I did one for Scotland, BBC Scotland, on just just the whole thing about staying upbeat because mental health and positivity is such a big thing at the moment, particularly with the new lockdown rules coming in on Thursday morning. So yeah.
Yeah. It beats me because I thought these rules were coming right now, straight away. But I don't know why we got wait till Thursday for. But
Well, it gives people chance to, I don't know, touch base, do the shopping perhaps, just feel a little less impeded, maybe. I don't know. It's the whole thing, to my mind, is a little bit. I don't know. The whole thing's very weird, isn't it? Really.
yeah. Susan, the point is, have you ever felt judged?
I think we all have at times, and it isn't necessarily that we are actually being judged. Sometimes we go into a situation and we may feel that other people in the room are superior to us in some way. They are better educated, more affluent, more successful, look better, and we can go into a situation like that where we're carrying all those preconceived ideas and anticipating what people will think about us. So, that there are times, I'm sure, when, particularly when we're younger, where we maybe go into a situation and we're feeling a little bit apprehensive, not 100% sure, the thing imposter syndrome, being caught out and not being good enough, not knowing our stuff. Maybe we think we're blagging it and other people will find us out, or whatever
Mm,
it might be. So there can be lots of scenarios that we are not necessarily being judged, but we're carrying that with us. And when you realize that something like 85-90% of communication is non-verbal, so if we go into a situation and we're head down and our body language is tight and we're almost apologetic in our demeanor, that's going to give off a very different vibe, and other people are going to pick up on that than if we
mm,
go in and heads up and we're feeling upbeat and positive. So we can often influence a scenario by our
mm.
own demeanor, our own positivity, our own what we go into it. And if we carry a load of negative, that can well be what we get back in return.
Yeah, but what happens if when we were young and we were at school, and since from school until now, we've always been judged. We've been used to it.
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's the mindset. That's the mindset. So you may not be being judged, but if we feel I am all, if that's the narrative, if that's the self-talk that a person is carrying around with them, then that is, it's, whatever the mind can conceive, the mind can believe. Whatever you believe you can achieve, you will achieve. So if how many times, I know most of my successes have come from things that I wasn't 100% sure about, but I thought I'm going to have a really good go with this, and you know what, things might well open, and just putting yourself out there, sometimes unexpected doors open that you possibly never even thought about. And I think
Mm,
if we carry, oh, there's something wrong with me, or I'm not good enough, or I don't look the part, or I'm too old, or I'm the wrong gender, or I'm the wrong race, or whatever it might be, the wrong religion, or whatever, then we're already going in with a very different stance than somebody who's feeling sure about themselves. And I don't believe anybody's always going to be judged You know, it can be that the person who everybody thinks would possibly. I mean, I had a friend who was a very large girl, and all her mates were really slim and beautiful and whatever. And perceptually, she might have been the one who got rejected, perhaps. But because she was so confident about herself, whenever she went out with all her friends, the blokes all made a beeline for her because she
Mm,
was personality, she was radiant, she was laughing, she felt good in her own skin, she was having a whale of a time. She's a person everybody wants to be with. But
mm,
if she'd have gone out and gone, oh, look at me, my mates are all size 8 or something, or not, wringing wet, and that's the look
mm,
that I should aspire to, and they've all got the Botox and the
mm.
hair and all the
I,
rest of it. She could have stood back.
I can understand where you're coming from. I can understand that, right? We've all been judged in our lifetime. I get judged, partly all the time, nearly, but it doesn't worry me. What does worry me is when people are judged for their skin color, for mental health, if they've got any mental health problems, or because even their job, even if they've got a job and it's like a bin man. I know someone who works as a bin man, and he got judged for just being a bin man.
Well, nobody can hurt you unless you give them permission. Nobody can hurt you unless you give them permission. So, yes, I guess. I mean, I wrote an article on being judged for your job, and the reason I wrote that was because a friend of mine had put on social media that she was working as a cleaner,
Yeah, yeah.
and somebody she knew had replied actually in the narrative on social media saying, oh my goodness me, you poor thing, you're reduced to cleaning, all the rest of it. And she was outraged, and I wrote a whole article on this. And there's a couple of things here, because one, if we meet somebody for the first time, it's not an unreasonable question to say, what do you do?
Mm,
It's deemed as fairly safe. It's a fairly neutral question. It's not about judging somebody. But if that person said, I'm a nuclear scientist, or they said, I'm a cleaner, odds are we have and it's okay. We have a slightly
mm,
different, oh gosh, you
mm,
must be very intelligent if you're a nuclear scientist. Wow, I'm in awe of you. Or if you're a cleaner, we might shrug and just think, okay, hey ho. But the truth is, a nuclear scientist might be working as a cleaner because they want a quiet life. They don't want all the stress. They just want to earn a few quid. Whatever the reasons are, it's irrelevant. It's down to us. And if we allow ourselves to buy into other people's reactions and responses to us, then that's down to us. But nobody can hurt us unless we allow them to. So if somebody makes a comment like, "Paul, you're a cleaner," and we just go, yeah, yeah, you know what? It's fine. I like it. I get it. I mean, for her, she's cleaning footballers' houses, and she has a whale of a time having a nosy round and enjoys it. But at the same time, it's if she is going to do that job and feel good about it, then it really doesn't matter what other people say, think,
mm,
comment, or whatever, because she can
mm,
just shrug. And if we only give people power if we react, if we don't react and we just go, yeah, yeah,
mm,
whatever you
mm,
think, that's it, end of.
mm. Even if you dress differently, you still get judged, don't you?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because I think a lot of us aspire to be a bit different. A lot of us aspire to buy that quirky, unusual, slightly different piece of jewelry, or that accessory, or that tie, or that whatever that scarf or something that just gives a little bit of flash of personality, of quirkiness. But so a lot of us aspire to that. But at the same time, if we see somebody dressed in fluorescent whatever, we might well go, blimey, what happened to them? But hey ho, often those people with the quirky style are the people who make us smile,
Mm,
and they
mm,
make us brighten up the day, don't they? We go into a bar or a pub or a restaurant or something and go, wow, look at that person.
mm,
Didn't know it's fancy dress, but it's okay. It's okay.
mm, mm. How about when people kind of like, because I was talking to somebody today about stigma, about weight.
Okay.
When people go out, they go along the high street, and all of a sudden someone's looking at you, and they don't like the way you are because you're big.
Well,
You get
you
called
don't
names.
necessarily know that's what they're thinking. I tell a story, and it's apocryphal. It's not a true story, but I tell a story. I'm a therapist, as you know, and I tell a story about if I went to the local shopping mall and I'm walking along the top deck and I see a group of women that I know from the gym or wherever it might be, locally, parents or whatever, and I see they're all talking and laughing. And they're obviously, having a whale of a time, and they turn and look in my direction and collapse in fits of giggles and then turn back and continue talking. On a good day, if I'm feeling good about myself, I might be going, "Oh, they look like they're having a fantastic chat." Go running over. "What are you talking about, girls? Tell me, tell me." On a bad day, I might think, "Oh my goodness me, what's wrong with me? What are they looking at? Are they
Mm,
laughing at me? Do I look a mess? Is something wrong with me?" I might even shrink into a shop doorway because I want to avoid
mm,
them. So, it's not always the case. And we can
mm,
sometimes be guilty of second guessing. And our second
mm,
guess isn't always the right one. If they were talking about me and I'm going marching over, they're going to have to shut up pretty damn quick because I'm coming over. And so
mm,
that would
mm,
use any conversation about me. People are, in all fairness, most people are not that interested in us. In all fairness, they
mm,
might look and go whatever, but they're not holding that for 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's a fleeting look. It might be a fleeting thought, but they're not really going to be
mm,
lying awake tonight thinking about your weight or my this or my that or whatever. They're not that bothered. It's
mm.
just a glance. It's
So
it's a
don't you agree?
momentary.
Don't you agree then that there is people out there though who kind of like they judge people because of whatever it is, color, weight, whatever it is, right? Because there's people out there who does it, and myself, I've been attacked in the street by people because of my weight. Right, I've been spat at, right?
Mhm.
I've been all sorts, I don't know. I've got, and it's all sorts. And the trouble is now, if I walk down the street, I've got to look behind me because just in case I get jumped on, I've been jumped on, I've been attacked,
Wow.
because this is
Yeah.
true, this is true, because, people are judging you for what you are.
Okay. Well, that's exceptional, and it's obviously it's completely wrong. And if you get the chance, you make sure the CCTV, or you take pictures and you report that to the police. That's assault.
Yeah,
So nobody should be assaulted in a public place. Well, nobody should be assaulted. Period. But
yeah,
under normal circumstances, being judged is part and parcel of what we do without even thinking about it. You're talking about something rather exceptional there, but in the main, most people would be. In the main, most people are fairly tolerant. They're not that biased. That they may have unconscious bias. I think we all have to some
mm,
extent, but we have to kind of learn to manage it. And as we get older, hopefully we do. When I'm a counselor and a hypnotherapist, I have a practice that's called lifestyletherapy.net, Wayne. So that's my actual job. But I do a lot of media work and I do a lot of writing, and I've written books and magazine articles and things like
very
that.
talented woman.
Thank you.
Oh, you are, you're very
Thank
talented,
you. Yeah.
very talented. Yeah, I'm still waiting for the copy of her book. Though. Anyway,
Well, it's there. I think it's on. It's on Amazon. It's there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Also, how about when we get judged for like, if we go for a particular job and, because we're not, they feel that we're not right for that particular job. That
Well,
could sometimes could happen, can it?
of course it can, and it may be that somebody isn't right for the particular job, but at the end of the day, that's a hard one to prove. And somebody, there's lots of reasons why we get a job, and at the end of the day, I guess if I know if I, as a sole trader, am hiring somebody, I need to know they can do the job. So if
Mm,
you're paying somebody however many thousands of pounds a year, it's a reasonable thing to want somebody to be able to turn up and do the job. However, there is an onus on us now to be supportive and sensitive and understanding that somebody may be very talented and just need that little bit of extra support. So it
mm,
swings and roundabouts. We've got to understand if you're paying somebody 20, 30,000 pounds a year to work for you, you're plus the incidentals. So the stamp and the sick pay and the holiday pay probably adds another 8,000-10,000 quid onto that. So at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's a massive overhead, and we've got to appreciate that
Oh yeah.
at the moment, but in any climate. I mean, that's one reason why I don't take on staff. It's one reason why I never grew my practice, because I don't want to get into massive overheads. I work from home, and a lot of the stuff that the workshops that I run, the clients that I see, it's me. And if I work with somebody, it's on a co-hosting or a co-working together basis where we're working together as individuals, but not. I would never want staff, because I think it's a minefield. But I hear you. Some people, we don't owe. We've got to remember that we can't be owed things. We can't expect other people to owe us just because of whatever. But we have to be prepared to demonstrate that we will work around it, and we will do the best we can do. And let's talk about flexible hours, or let's talk about working from home, or let's talk about what I can offer you to make your business grow better. And we have to demonstrate that we are good and a viable proposition.
I've got a message here. Hang on for a second. So, if it comes up, that is.
I'm being judged because I'm the only Brit in my school.
Yes.
Well, there you go. If it's an attractive accent, then you just laugh and go with it. Really, I mean, it's not. I don't know what to say about that. There's lots of things that we might be. That there's something about us that's unusual or different or special. And hey, just shrug your shoulders and make the most of it. I guess it depends how badly that you're being used, but British accent's quite an attractive thing in some scenarios.
How about this one?
People judge me all the time. Okay, well, people, we have certain biases, don't we? And I think sometimes being fairly rising above it, and maybe if we find that we're going into situations that on a regular basis we find are perhaps hostile or unfriendly or hypercritical, then maybe we have to step back. And whenever I'm working with anybody as a client, I really start from, what is it about you that's prompted this? So I can't work with the other person. So if I've got a person who says somebody always looks at me or somebody always judges me, I can't necessarily work with that person. That person's not in the room. So what I work with is the person who's talking about it. So the person who says I'm being judged all the time because of how I look or how I speak. Well, at the end of the day, we have to dial it back and say, okay, whatever other people do, whatever other people say, what other people think about me is kind of not my business in a way. That's down to them. They have their own agenda, they have their own criteria, they have their own set of circumstances, their own background to why they think and feel the way they do. I cannot do anything about that. What I can do is determine how much of that I allow to influence me. So if somebody looks at me in a certain way and I get upset or I get aggro or I get bullshit or whatever, then guess who's got the power? The other person. Because the minute I go fly off the handle or get irate or how dare you and what do you think you're looking at and why are you talking to me like that and who do you think you are? The other person is holding the reins. The other person has got the power. And if we, I love my little sayings. I've got a lot of them in my book, and one of them is the ultimate revenge is indifference. The ultimate revenge is indifference. So if somebody is being bullshit or judgmental or hypercritical or whatever, and we just go, hey, poof, bring it on, do your worst, smile, and just ignore it. They've completely diffused, they're completely deflated. What can they do now if I'm not buying into that and getting upset and uptight and angry and irate, So it's kind of like stepping back and letting other people do their stuff.
Yeah. The trouble is we put our guard down too much, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's this here? I dress different.
Yeah, somebody's being bullied and teased all the time. Well, clearly, you're not allowing it to change the way you dress. So good for you for standing your ground. If you're saying, I dress differently, but I am different, then that's okay. And if you're standing your ground with that and you're saying, I'm still going to dress the way I dress and the way I like and the way I feel about it, then, you're standing your ground with that. Maybe
Mm,
it's time to review your circle of friends. Maybe it's time to have a look and see where there are niches of people who dress similar to you where you can go and find your peer group. I don't know the situation here. Certainly where I live in Manchester, we've got whole areas that have fabulous fashions and dress differently. We've got the gay village in town, we've got Chinatown, there's Moss Side where there's a lot of Africa Caribbean
mm,
culture. So there's lots of different flavors and colors and styles, and it's very eclectic around where I live, and people are fated for being
mm,
different. But it's I don't know, finding where you can fit in and feel comfortable about that.
mm. Yes, because sometimes most of us put our guards down and we let people kind of like come in and destroy us, and I find it very difficult sometimes where, you can, well, not, I don't find it now, but I used to, especially when the media was on my back all the time. Because you know what the media is like, they always onto you all the time. And one time I put my guard down and they thought, they were after a particular story and I put my guard down and they got the story off me. But you know what I mean? So we always
Yeah, I
get,
do, but I also think there's a difference between putting your guard down and having no boundaries. So, yes, I can tell a story against myself, perhaps, and I know what I'm doing, and I'm maybe laughing and I'm prepared to share that because I'm happy with that. That's putting my guard down, but that's not letting people, that's not opening my coat and saying, send your arrows in to pierce me to the quick. That there's a difference between having your guard down and having no boundaries. And I think that's sometimes an area that we can forget. So being very aware of saying that's enough now, and no more, and we've had our laugh, honey, that was funny, but end of now, or
mm,
whatever it might be. But being very aware and keeping an eye open, particularly if you're working with media interviews. I do a lot of stuff for the media, and it's very much about being aware of what you're prepared to say and what
mm,
you don't want to say and what you're prepared to be open about, and shutting it down nicely if
mm,
necessary.
mm, mm. They are a bit, they are, trouble is, there's a lot of, I'm not going to go into it, but they tempt you and, all sorts of media. But there you go.
Well, it depends who, doesn't it? If you're talking about certain red tops, then they like a little bit of a scandal. But in the main, if you set your own boundaries and maybe have a piece of paper with what you're prepared to say and have it in front of you, so and you rein yourself back in and go end of, and it can be quite a skill, but it's quite a straightforward thing to say, and that's
Yeah,
it now. I've finished that topic. Let's move on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So what can we do then if we about judgment? If we if we kind of like get judged all the time, how can we deal with it? I know you said about kind of like sometimes we need to kind of like I'm losing the plot here. I forgot. Sorry. I've got somebody talking to me. All right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So I'm just I just find it very difficult sometimes about getting being judged all the time. Some people get judged all the time, and you're saying just now earlier on that it's not many people do get judged. Is that right?
No, I'm saying how we approach something is very much down to us. Let me tell a little story. I mean, and this is about judgment. So, some time back, my uncle was driving his car through dense Wales, had no signal on his mobile phone, and his car broke down. And in the middle of nowhere, there's no signal, no phone boxes or whatever around. And through his rear, this is a true story, through his rear view mirror, he saw a great load of Hells Angels bikers coming towards him along that country road. And he was like, oh my goodness me. So straight away, he was nervous. He was fearful. He was thinking, my God, my days are numbered. I'm going to get beaten up or whatever. And these guys pulled up around his car, got out and said, what can we do to help you, mate? And they sorted his car out for him. Now,
Yeah,
that's judgment in a nutshell. That
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
people make an assumption because they looked in inverted commas rough, perhaps they got leathers on and caps and studs and all the rest of it. But they got out the car and said, "Can we help you?" And they got his car fixed for him because a lot of them were very good with engines. So we can we can carry with us an expectation. And if I meet somebody and I automatically think it's going to be difficult or tough or awkward or unfriendly, then I'm going to hold myself very differently. I've said already 85-90% of communication is non-verbal. So if I'm expecting something to be unpleasant or difficult, then I'm going to be shoulders are hunched, breathing's a lot shallower. I might be holding my jaw tight. My eyes might be darting around, my stomach's churning. There's an awful lot going on in a tense situation. Whereas if I'm relaxed, I'm going, oh, hi, how are
mm,
you? Whatever, then it starts off an easier thing and we can diffuse something that may well have been awkward. I know
mm,
I've diffused, odd times if I've had to maybe complain about something, service or quality of a product that's been delivered. Starting off in an aggressive way puts the other person's back up. But saying,
yeah,
look,
mm,
I've got a bit of a problem. I mean, you can be aggressive
mm,
10 minutes in if they're doing nothing about it. But at the outset,
mm,
what I've got a bit of a problem here. I'm hoping you can help me. This is what the deal is. And they go,
mm,
oh, right, let me see what we're talking about. And
yeah,
so we can really colour what our interactions are going to be like if we have a nicer flow with it. And I think being more receptive to things being positive, if we put something out as positive, far more likely to get that back. And I
yeah.
find that time after time after time.
You're, I just, it's sometimes it's kind of like sometimes we got to look at ourselves sometimes and think, what I'm hearing right now is this, that my wife would tell you, I feel that she says to me, "Why did you write that for?" They were actually nice to you,
Okay.
right? So I get a time where, like, if people kind of like, I used to have a problem where people never used to reply to me just like that. I used to like people replying to me, and if they didn't, I was thinking, oh well, they're not interested, they don't care, whatever. Then my wife used to say to me, "Steve, hang on, you know." And then I used to say, "Oh, I'm not going to get in contact with them no more." And she said, "Well, they might be at work or whatever." It's not, and I feel, yeah, yeah, and I feel that I'm being kind of like ignored or whatever,
But
being
I
judged,
I
whatever.
know I know that most people don't reply to emails these days. I've got Zoom meetings and things quite a lot at the minute, and the number of people who say, "Oh, I've got 1,500." I think I've got something like 1,800 emails in my inbox waiting for me to look at. And every now and again you just think, "Oh, for goodness sake." And a lot of them will just be round robins and not spam, but because that gets filtered out, but just stuff. And
Mm,
a lot of people just don't reply to emails, and it's not a personal thing, and it's not about being rude. It's
mm,
just about, I've got other things that I need to focus on, and there's only one of me and 24 hours in a day, and I'd like to get a bit of
mm,
sleep occasionally. So
mm,
it's not taking things personally. And I think a lot of people say, if somebody wants to get in touch with me, they'll get in touch with me again. And you have to be a bit persistent. If it matters to you, you've got to remember something might matter to you far more than it does to the person that you're writing to. So
yeah,
again, be respectful of that. If you want them to pay attention to you, then you send them an email, and if they don't, give them a couple of days, and if they don't reply, then you maybe send it again, and just be persistent. But at the end of the day, it's about accepting that not everybody is as enamored of what you're trying to say to them as you are,
Yeah,
and we have to respect that. So
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
about putting your shoe on the other foot, almost, seeing it from their point of view.
yeah. I can understand that. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I can really understand that.
Mm.
Well, Susan, we come to a point, another point. It's
Okie
seven.
dokie.
It's 8:30 already.
I know, I know. Well, I have written articles on being judged. So if
Right.
there's anything you want to have a look at, all free to access on my website, lifestyletherapy.net. Please be, that you're welcome to go and have a rummage.
Uh,
Lots of articles in there about all sorts of different things, tips and hints and all sorts there. Just have a go. I don't collect email addresses, so you can have a rummage, do whatever you like. So lovely.
Brilliant. I'll stick it on my website. I'll stick it on my website tonight because I've got a new website now. I don't know if you saw it, but
Okay,
yeah.
good,
All right.
excellent.
All right. Thank you very much, Susan, for another week, and I will contact you later about next week.
Excellent. Thank
All
you.
right.
Take care.
Thank
Have a
you.
good week. Thank
Thank you
you.
for your time. Thank you.